Thank you, Mr. President. We're ready when the sponsor is ready. God bless you, Manny. God bless you. God bless us. Wisdom,
Amen.
compassion. Amen.
Mr. President, we're ready to begin.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the permission of the honorable sponsor, may I proceed with my interpellation?
Willingly, Mr. President.
Thank you. I really just have a few more, maybe 2 or 3 more topics left, and I think we can go through this fairly quickly. Mr. President, just for the record once more, the Boxing Commission is meant to promote, to look after the welfare of the professional boxers, as His Honor has mentioned throughout the sponsorship. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes. So I'd like His Honor to help me understand. Professional athletes, and that includes professional boxers, earn from their sport. And yet, this bill will not cover amateur athletes. So we have our amateur athletes who are fighting for glory, for the glory of the country. To put it bluntly, for glory only. That is the only thing they are fighting for. They put in as much time and energy and use the resources for the glory of country. Professional athletes, of course, like His Honor, our colleague Senator Manny Pacquiao has also brought glory to our country. I am not discounting that in any way. However, professionals fight or do their sport for money. So what I have a problem understanding is we are now with this bill pouring in very limited resources. Earlier, we spent a good part of the afternoon on the health bills. We're trying to find funding for health bills. And here we are, we're going to put it in a professional boxing commission, administrative offices. I don't even know how much will go to the boxers, but at the very least, they are professional boxers. So kindly help me understand why we are focusing on the professionals when they will actually be earning money. And amateurs do not earn. They do it purely for the love of country and for the glory.
Mr. President, like I already explained it for the past 2 days discussing about this bill, Mr. President. This professional boxing, Mr. President, is different to amateur. Amateur boxing is under the Philippine Sport Commission. And the impact of this commission or the impact of the professional boxers who compete outside the country and became a champion. It's a country's pride, Mr. President. We should remember that every fight held in outside the country, it's our honor. It's a country's pride and honor. And to promote our country, Mr. President, we spend billions of pesos, Mr. President, to just to promote our country. And this boxing commission, which is approximately, is not really the exact number, asking for 150, more or less 150 million to establish a commission to focus on professional boxing. I will not say a word, but I think is much easier, and we can appreciate of the contribution of this professional boxing to our country. I am not raising my own chair, Mr. President, but good example of my achievement and accomplishment in boxing. nakilala po ang bansang Pilipinas sa buong mundo. I'm sure yung mga tao na pupunta sa abroad, when you talk about Philippines, at least na-remember tayo, naalala tayo. Because of boxing, professional boxing. I'm not underestimating amateur boxing or any other sport, but of course, I'm proud of them because nakakontribute din sila ng honor sa ating bansa. But like I said, the professional is different, and that's why I'm asking your support, and also to my colleagues to support this commission, Philippine Boxing Commission, it because of necessary to establish this to protect our professional boxers, because for the longest time, Mr. President, hindi po sila protektado at marami pong nadidisgrasya, nababalda at namamatay. At hanggang ngayon po, yung mga nagretirong professional boxers, kawawa po sila, wala po silang natanggap na pensyon, wala po silang mga benefits na nakuha sa GAB. Hindi ko sinisiraan ang GABA, but that's the reality. At itong commission kasi na to, magfo-focus hindi lamang sa future, hindi lamang sa future ng mga professional boxers natin, but after their career. Yung pagkatapos ng career nila, mayroon pa rin silang makukuhang benepisyo dito sa commission na ito. Yan po ang pinaka dahilan ng commission na ito, at and I hope that the good lady from Taguig will understand of my explanation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, the honor that His Honor has brought as a professional boxer in the country cannot be questioned, and I am one of the millions of Filipinos and billions of people in the world who admire him. But with all due respect, that does not explain and justify why we will pour in millions of funds just for professional athletes and specifically professional boxers. With all due respect, and I will ask, I hope he doesn't mind, perhaps we can ask that the Senate President has an amazing memory, plus this is also his personal sport. Paeng Nepomuceno, from the records I gather, and I've known Paeng, he has been so gracious to join me in my advocacy for indigent young kids. No, he has taught them. He's joined me for sports development. Paeng Nepomuceno is an amateur athlete, and he's a 6-time world bowling champion, and he won. Well, 6 times, so that speaks for itself. And there's a long list of accomplishments. So I don't know if the Senate President would like to add anything to Paeng's glorious career, no? Baka kasi, well, si Senator Pacquiao mas bata sa akin, no? So hindi na niya inabot yun. Pero sikat na sikat yun, Mr. President. Diba, nung time nyo, at ako inabot ko pa siya, talagang lines po yun pag nanalo si Paeng Nepomuceno, di ba? And idadagdag ko na rin si Bongku. Bongku, from my record, is a 4-time world champion Filipino bowler. She is listed in the Guinness Book as a world record holder and most decorated Filipino athlete regardless of gender. So maybe His Honor, I don't know if His Honor the Senate President wants to add anything, but sport niyo po.
That's correct. It's correct. Paeng Nepomuceno started when he was 16 years old. At the age of 17, if I'm not mistaken, he won his first world championship. I was his bowling partner when I was still bowling in doubles events in the Southeast Asian Games or the Asian Games, the World FIQ.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a world champion. I think 6 times, six world titles.
And the point.
Sabong.
And Bongku as well, Mr. President, I'm sure you also are familiar with her career, no? Imagine Guinness Book world record holder and most decorated Filipino athlete regardless of gender. So they're not professional athlete. Sila din po ay nag-retire na wala rin nakuha sa gobyerno. And they represent the faces of thousands of Filipino athletes who face the same future, a future that we also want to secure. So ang akin lang naman po, it is our job as members of the Senate to look into their concern. Lahat po sila, kasama ho ang boxers, kasama din ho ang ibang athletes. Whether bowling yan, cycling, nabanggit ko nga marami pang ibang listed ang soccer and basketball as a most injurious sport. Kasama po sila sa welfare na gusto natin asikasuhin. Again, all my respect for Senator Pacquiao, but I would like to hope that his big heart for the boxers would extend also to the other athletes, because itong mga nasa amateur never played for money, never. And yet, they equally have the potential of being injured and not having any career whatsoever. So it is our duty to look after them as well. Anyway, His Honor has answered my question, and I beg to disagree that there is a need to differentiate, because we should, it is our moral duty to protect all of these athletes and not just one particular group of athletes, not just boxers, not just professional boxers, but also the amateurs and other sports as well.
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand of the point of the good lady from Taguig, Mr. President, but I have already explained of, I hope that the good lady from Taguig will understand of the situation. It's yes, there's a risk sa lahat ng sports. But different itong boxing dahil a contact sport. Kumbaga, ang ibig kong sabihin dito ay your intention is to pin down your opponent, to hurt each other. That's the difference of this sports, Mr. President. I think my colleague from Taguig will understand that ito yung sports na your intention is to hurt your opponent, to pin down your opponent, not like a cycling or run or marathon. You're competing to the finishing line. In this competition, boxing is hurting each other. To finish the fight is to pin down your opponent, to finish your opponent, to knock out your opponent. So this is different. You have to hurt your opponent, enable you to win the fight. Magkakaiba po talaga ito. I hope the good lady from Taguig will understand about my explanation, which is I already explained it over and over again for 2 days or more than 2 days discussion of this measure.
Thank
Mr.
you,
President.
thank you, Your Honor, for that. But we have also, with all due respect, rejected the distinction that His Honor makes, because we are asking for funds to protect these athletes. And the record shows, and I have quoted data, His Honor has not quoted any data, to show the top 10 sports that affect our athletes. So regardless if their sport requires that they have any contact with their opponent or not, the nature of the sport causes injury. If you're a cyclist, and I have my own battle scars, I have a scar on my elbow, I have a scar in my head. I'm not a professional cyclist, pero na-aksidente ako, and I had to be in the hospital for a few days. When these things happen, regardless if may hinahabol kang competitor mo, the name of the game is speed, or the name of the game is to knock out your opponent, the point is, it can cause harm and injury, and that is what we are trying to protect. That is our duty, to try to protect them in any way that we can, and not single out one sport by its nature, because these sports that we mentioned can all cause injury. That's why my request is very simple. Can we not revisit the intentions of His Honor, which are very good and very noble, to expand it to cover other sports and other athletes who are also exposed to injuries? I leave that now, and I will go to the next point, because like His Honor said, he has explained, and I do not accept the explanation because it is not based on data. The data shows that these athletes that I mentioned, both professional and amateurs, are exposed to risk, and they should also be protected. So, next point, Mr. President. His Honor yesterday mentioned that the reason he is pushing for a boxing commission is that there are also other countries with boxing commissions. May I know what countries was he referring to that have boxing commissions, Mr. President?
First of all, Mr. President, before I answer that question, Mr. President, I just to clarify, Mr. President, that amateur and professional is different. Magkaiba po yan siya kasi amateur is under the PAC, Philippine Sport Commission. Pangalawa po, itong professional po, kakaiba. I hope, and then, yung tanong po ninyo ng yung commission, boxing commission, mayroon pong, ang Nevada po, Los Angeles, California, may boxing commission, Nevada Athletic Boxing Commission. Marami pong boxing commission, Japan Boxing Commission, Australian Boxing Commission. Mayroon pong mga boxing commission po sila. Dito lang po sa atin kakaiba. Wala po.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. Just a quick response dun sa sinabi niyong professional and amateur are not the same. Yes, we know they are not the same. Precisely, we pointed out professionals earn. They choose to join their sport and they have the potential of earning. And yet, sila po ang under your bill, it's professional boxers that you want to protect, as opposed to the amateur athletes that we're not offering protection under this bill. And that's why I'm just bringing it to the to the public information and for our Senate colleagues to assess this if that is the right direction that we want to go, because these athletes are also exposed. That's what I'm saying, that talagang may difference sila. Nagkakaisa ho tayo dyan, recognizing that they have a difference. Anyway, you answered my question that Australia and Japan are among the two countries, no? Does his honor know of any other country? Australia, Japan? Anyway, may I know of the countries, he only mentioned two, Japan or Australia, are they government funded? Kanilang boxing commissions?
Also Nevada, Mr. President.
Sorry?
Nevada.
Nevada is a state, so the state of Nevada in the US.
Yes, boxing
But
commission.
are they publicly funded?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, well, for the record, Mr. President, and I will ask His Honor to confirm this. Based on the record that I have, in the US, there are states that have boxing commission, and they're funded by the states. Mexico has a boxing commission. It is privately funded. The UK has a boxing commission. It is privately funded as well. Japan has a boxing commission. From our knowledge, it is also privately funded. South Korea has a boxing commission. It is also privately funded. And Thailand has one as well. It is also privately funded. And then there are other countries like Argentina and Colombia that do not have a boxing commission. And the Philippines is a bit of a hybrid because it does have a commission that covers a number of sports, including boxing. So hindi naman natin masabing there is no such thing as a regulator for boxing kasi meron. It's just that it is multi-sport. So for the record, I think it is the more accurate, unless His Honor will give us different data, that yes, there are countries with boxing commission, but most of them appear to be privately funded. No government funding. And that to me is fair because, as I said, there are also other athletes that require our attention. There are also other concerns in our country that we need to attend to, and not just the funding of another administrative office.
Mr. President, first, kasi ang haba nung may explanation. So, doon muna tayo sa amateur and professional. I said may purse ang professional pag lumaban. Ang amateur po, Mr. President, is mayroon silang allowance sa gobyerno. Mayroon po silang monthly allowance sa gobyerno na natatanggap. It's government fund. Which is the professional, o makikita lang sila pagka may fight. Wala po silang allowance. Yun po ang pinagkakaiba, and then napakahirap po ng professional dahil open po. Ito ay paulitin ko naman ulit na iba yung danger na hinaharap ng mga professional boxers, no, boxing, kaysa sa amateur. Unang-una, Mr. President, hindi nila alam kung ano yung magiging buhay nila. Pwede silang mamatay, pwedeng makasurvive. Yun po ang pinakadahilan po doon. Siguro we cannot compare our country to other countries na binanggit natin, no, kung funded, which is funded ng gobyerno o hindi funded ng gobyerno. May sa atin naman po kasi alam niyo naman dito sa sitwasyon natin dito sa Pilipinas, kahit papaano we should give consideration a professional boxing na nagka-contribute din ng malaki para sa karangalan ng ating bansa. Yun po, yun ang inaano ko sa aking kasama na I hope makonsidera din hindi lamang sa ano natin sa sarili nating pananaw. Ako kung hindi ko lang naranasan tong experience ito, bakit ko ipaglaban ang mga boksingero? Bakit ko ipaglaban yung karapatan nila na may magkatutok sa kanila? I don't care. Pero nandito ako, alam ko kung anong sitwasyon, alam ko kung anong problema nila, alam ko kung anong mga pangailangan nila, and then kung walang nakakontribute sa ang professional boxing sa Pilipinas, bakit ko ipupurso ito? Di ba? Kung hindi tayo nakikilala sa buong mundo, bakit ko ipupurso ito? Pabayaan na natin yan. Pero because professional boxing, dyan po tayo nakikilala. Kahit sa ang sulok ng mundo, ating mga kababayang Pilipino na sa ibang bansa, para po sa kalaman ng lahat, ang ating mga kababayan sa ibang bansa, proud sila dahil nakilala na ang bansang Pilipinas because of boxing. Hindi ko sinasabing ako yon na boksingero, hindi lang ako, kundi marami pang mga nag-champion ng Pilipino na nagwagayway ng ating bansa. And I'm hoping that all of us will understand that effort and sacrifices of those athletes na in professional boxing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tama ho yung sinabi nyo. Pag bumabiyahe ako at sabihin Pilipino, ang sagot sa akin, Manny Pacquiao. So, wag ho kayong, you don't need to be humble, Mr. President, kasi talagang humble naman po kayo. Pero ang kilala talaga nila, Manny Pacquiao. And of course, you're right, iba din boxers. Pero sabihin na natin ng totoo, Manny Pacquiao talaga ho. And we are proud of it. We are proud of everything that you have done, Mr. President. But like His Honor said, hindi naman niya to ipaglalaban kung hindi based sa personal knowledge niya. And we respect that. We have so much respect for everything that His Honor has been through. But in the same way, that's why we have interpellation kasi ini-improve ho natin yung bill natin kasi sana po when we have interpellation, yung sponsor, papakinggan din niya naman po yung experiences ng mga nag-interpellate. Ako nga, I am nothing compared to His Honor when it comes to sports, pero sinishare ko din po na alam ko din yung buhay ng atleta as a volleyball player, as a triathlete, as a marathoner, ultramarathoner, yun yung mga sports na naseryoso ko. And syempre pag sinabing triathlon, kasama po doon ang swimming, biking, and running. So I'm also saying, Mr. President, na meron din tayong na-contribute dito, and that is the whole essence of legislation. It's teamwork. Teamwork po to. The goal really is to ideally improve the measure. So I have had the honor of being mentored by, with us is Senator DRILLON, and our Senate President can attest to what we went through with the RH bill. Mahabaan yun. Inabot ng buwan-buwan taon yung aming interpellation dyan. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. And I learned a lot from it, and I'd like to believe that it's a better bill because of all the contributions that went into it. So our end goal here, Mr. President, is that His Honor would have an open mind to consider looking at the bill from the perspective also of the other athletes. Hindi lang yung sport na pinagdaanan niya. Kasi nga, meron din ho tayong responsibility dito sa mga ibang atleta natin na nai-injure din, hindi rin natatapos ang career, na nagre-retire din, na hindi ho nakapag-aral, hindi nakapagtapos. Concerned din po tayo sa kanila. So yun naman po yung response ko doon. And when His Honor said, let's not compare ourselves to the other countries, binanggit ko lang naman po because kayo naman ho ang nagsabi na other countries have a boxing commission. So I researched it and I found out that most of the countries that have boxing commissions are privately funded. Hindi po siya public funds. Hindi po siya gumagamit ng public funds. So that's a main distinction we want to make para clear naman ho ang record natin. So I'll go on to the next item. The reason that it is so, the reason I am taking time on this bill, Mr. President, is because this bill seeks to set up new offices for a boxing commission. And especially now during this time of COVID, I feel that this is not well timed. And so I'd like to put on the screen budgets that are basically affected in the 100 million mark, because more or less yan ho yung hinihingi ng ating butihing sponsor for his boxing commission. So basically, what I'm showing you here is just an example. Itong e-classroom, ito yung package ng e-classroom. It cost about 1.6 million per package and it will fund almost 100 classrooms. No, yan ang halaga niyan. School buildings, maliit lang to, no? Ito yung practically maybe mga 2 or 3 classrooms lang to. So a small school building, 60 school buildings ang maipapatayo. In addition to that, another package would be school furniture sets. Ito yung mga tables and chairs at 116,000 pesos per set. That's 1,200 sets of furnitures. And finally, yung school building package, which is building and furnitures and solar panels at 4.1 million pesos per package. That's 36 schools. So again, I'm saying we need to be responsible on how we spend, especially during this time na kulang ho ang ating source of income. We debated for how many days din yung health bills. One example that I cannot forget is a hospital in Palawan. They're simply asking for an increase in bed capacity from 10 beds to 20 beds, 8 million pesos. Wala tayong pondo. Wala nang mapagkunan. Ang haba ng debate, the majority floor leader can attest to that. Walang pondong mapagkunan para mapondohan yung hospital nila na madagdagan lang ng 10 kama for the year 2021. Kumbaga, allocated na yung pondo ng health. So I take my hat off to the majority floor leader, the minority floor leader, the chairman of the Committee on Health na nagkasundo on how to fund this next year na lang, 2022. And I pointed out though that I think 5 billion worth of unprogrammed projects ang nasa health infrastructure din na hindi rin matutuloy this year. Kasi unprogrammed means we want to fund it, approve na yan, pero walang pondo. That is the reality, healthcare pa lang yan. I can ask the good chairman of the Committee on Basic Education to take the floor, but he's been standing all day for the last 3 days. To also talk about the shortages we have in the classrooms, no? And also the chair of the Committee on Higher Ed, magkatabi sila, hindi ho yan mapaghiwalay yung dalawang yan. Shortages of classrooms and so on and so forth in both higher ed and basic ed. So I'm not saying that all our concerns are not important at yung sa akin lang importante. Wala hong ganon. Lahat ho ito importante, but we need to measure and decide where will we put valuable funds. So since mahal na mahal namin dalawa ng aking mabuting kaibigan na si Senator Manny Pacquiao, ang mga atleta, ang request ko is ibigay natin sa atleta. Wag lang naman yung dun sa mahal na mahal niyang sports, which nire-respeto ko, it's a natural inclination. But I'm asking na sana, especially during this time, spread out natin yan at ibigay dun din sa mga ibang atleta na nangangailangan. And on that note, I need to emphasize and go back to the point I raised a day ago na these functions that His Honor would like to give to a new boxing commission are already being performed by GAB. At nung paulit-ulit kong tinanong na ano bang pagkukulang ng GAB, wala naman hong sinabi ang ating butihing sponsor. Sabi nga niya, wala naman siyang masabi, ayaw naman niyang makapagsalita ng hindi ano. Pero sabi ko, sabihin yung totoo. And finally, yesterday, sabi niya, wala daw ho kasing package for welfare.
Mr.
Wala sa package ng welfare kasi wala ho sa mandate nila. So the solution there, with all due respect, is let's amend the GAB law to give them funding and the authority to manage a welfare fund for the athletes. Yun ho ang solution doon. I think we can work around that to be able to assist not just the boxers but the other athletes who in the line of fire, in the line of their work, their sport, na-expose ho sa mga injury. Yun ho ang proposal ko, and I'd like to know from His Honor if he would be amenable to that. That we amend. That's the first thing that we can do, at least now during this time of the pandemic, na i-focus na lang natin yan dun sa welfare fund na gusto ng ating butihing senador. Gawin natin yung welfare fund. We can put some money in GAB for the benefit of the boxers. And then we'll have to create another fund kasi hindi pwede i-manage ng GAB yung para sa amateurs. Kasi sa akin lang, exposed din naman po sila. Amenable po pa ba doon ang ating butihing sponsor?
Mr. President, I just want to answer yung mahabang isa-isahin ko lang muna. Tinake note ko naman dito. Una, Mr. President, yung impact po, okay, our concern is our concern is the 150 million approximately. In fact, wala po yan sa bill na nandito po, yung nakadraft na bill. Wala po yung 150, approximate lang po. Pwede po maging 100 or 120, 130, 30. Approximately lang po yan. Ito po, isa-isahin ko na lang po. At ano po ang maganda naman dyan. Kasi hindi naman po yan, kumbaga sa hindi yan municipal hall, barangay hall ang gagawin, kundi ito ay mga offices ng Boxing Commission sa Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Tatlong building na gagawin para mag-establish, ma-start na Ang impact po ng pag-put up ng Philippine Boxing Commission is makapokus sa ating mga boksingero at hindi lang siguro isang Manny Pacquiao. I-sample ko na lang yung sarili ko, Manny Pacquiao and sila Peñalosa, Donaire, at sino pa ba? Zigores, mga world-class caliber na fighter. Ang mapoproduce ng ating Pilipinas kung mayroon po tayong nakatutok na isang commission like Philippine Boxing. Yun po. At hindi po yan, domino effect po yan. Hindi lang po yan nagtatapos. For your information, Mr. President, it will help. It will help our economic growth and development. Kasi sa mga turista natin, magdatingan niya dito, makilala ang ating bansa, nakakatulong sa ekonomiya natin. Imagine kung magiging tayo, Asia's capital of Boxing and Combat Sports Commission, Combat Sports, talaga namang dadagsain tayo ng iba't ibang mga banyaga dito sa Pilipinas kung ganyan na maging resulta. So, ang impact ng 150 o approximately po lang po yan, ang impact po noon ay napakaganda. Napakaganda po at magkaroon po tayo ng, isa pong impact noon ay magkakaroon po tayo ng respeto at makilala tayo sa buong mundo, hindi lamang sa buong Asia. Yan po ang impact noon. At para lang dito sa itong budget na ito, we expend billions of pesos to promote our country. Our tourism, nandyan yung tourism natin to promote, nahirapan yan promote. Pero itong boxing na ito, kakaiba, makatulong po ito ng malaki. At hindi lang ito, kung dyan lang po, titingnan natin yan sa boxing lang, talagang wala kang makikita. But i-widen natin po yung isipan natin, Mr. President, ang laki po ng ma-contribute at maitulong nitong Philippine Boxing Commission. Unang-una, matutukan yung mga boksingero at maalagaan hanggang sa pag-retire, may benepisyo makuha ang ating mga at ito, ulitin ko po ulit, ang GAB po is to regulate and supervise. But wala po sa batas ng GAB yung developmental power, no, to sustain and help those retired boxers. na maraming na nangangailangan, nanghihingi ng tulong ngayon, naghihirap ngayon. Yun po ang kung mayroon po sana tayong Philippine boxing na nakatutok sa kanila, wala pong problema, hindi po sila iiyak, hindi po sila manghihingi ng tulong dahil may mga benepisyo po silang natatanggap sa ating gobyerno. Sa ating commission, mula sa ating commission. Yun po yung impact nun. So ang ibig kong sabihin, hindi lang po ito dito sa ating sa profesyon makakatulong, kundi pati po sa ating ekonomiya. Makakatulong po ito. Like I said, the economic growth and development. It's a big impact. We should. I'm not, of course. It's smarter than me, the good lady from Taguig, but we have to widen our perspective and yung pananaw natin para dito sa Philippine boxing na hindi lang itong professional to produce a caliber boxer, caliber athlete, but to help also our economic and promote our country. That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I admire His Honor's passion and dream for economic development through sports. I have the same dream as well. I have also experienced and have been supporting sports development through sports. Through the Ironman 70.3 that started in Camsur, lahat yun sinalihan ko, nakita ko na sa una ilang 400 participants lang yata kami. Hanggang sa naging 1,200, lahat na ng kamag-anak, lahat ng kakilala, boyfriend, girlfriend, sumasama manood. Nalipat sa Mactan, taon-taon mababasa nyo kung paano yung mga sasakay ng eroplano sa Mactan Airport, naglalakad, kaladkad yung kanilang maleta kasi sarado yung kalsada for the use of the bikers. And yet, nagsakripisyo ng gano'n ng mga Cebuano for the benefit of that sport kasi ganun kalaki yung tawag ng sport na yon. So His Honor and I see eye to eye on the potential of sports development in our country for tourism and for economic prosperity. However, again, I will point out that the functions that His Honor's Boxing Commission, that he envisions in the Boxing Commission, is already being performed by GAB. And the money that His Honor would
Mr.
like to
President.
put... Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. Madam good lady from Taguig, sorry to interrupt. It's not the same, Mr. President, the function of Philippine boxing and GAB, Mr. President, because Boxing Commission has a developmental power, promotion, and then also giving benefits to the athletes, pension, SSS, PhilHealth. Yun po ang kakaiba ng ang GAB kasi hindi ko kinu-question yung GAB. Ang GAB to regulate lang, regulatory lang, and then supervise. Yun lang po. After that, wala na. Wala na marami ng mga boxer na nanghihingi ng tulong, na nahihirapan, na supposedly kung may boxing commission lang sana noon, hindi sila kawawa. May mga boxers na talagang nagugutom ngayon, na nahihirapan, nanghihingi ng tulong. So yan po, sana maintindihan.
Mr. President, as I was saying, the desire of His Honor is noble. He wants to promote our country, make it a destination for sports, particularly boxing. However, the functions of his Boxing Commission, and I will address his concern right after the statement I make, is basically identical to the functions being performed by what a Boxing Commission should perform. It is being performed now by GAB. It is meant to regulate. That is the job of every Boxing Commission in the world. They regulate. Now, if His Honor is talking about promotion, hindi job ng Boxing Commission yon. Bawal ho yun. There will be a conflict. And His Honor and I have had a discussion of this off the record, and he even said that he is willing to amend to exclude that because there will be a conflict if the Boxing Commission is promoting and at the same time regulating.
I would like to interrupt, Mr. President. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. President. To clarify it. What I'm talking about, Mr. President, when I'm talking about promoting the country, is not a promotional boxing kasi that's a job of a promoter. That's why there's a promoter and manager license. So, yan po ang ibig kong sabihin, yung promoting the country. Thank you,
So-
Mr. President.
So then I don't know in what way magpo-promote ang boxing kasi dun sa bill nakalagay something like promote the boxing industry. So if it's an industry,
No, Mr. President. Just want to clarify. Nasa provision, wala po yan. Binireview ko po yung Boxing Commission. Wala po nakalagay na promotion. Maging promoter. Ano po yan? Promotion sa ating bansa. Sa section, ano ba yan? Section 5 po yan. Ito. Section 5, item D. In collaboration with the private sector, national government agencies, and local government units or LGUs, promote and make the country as an international, regional center for professional boxing and combat sports, competition, training, and convention and tourism, Mr. President.
well, I have a problem with that, Mr. President, because when you promote it as a competition, they're supposed to regulate, and my little knowledge of boxing, and I'm sure all the gentlemen here know more than boxing than I do. I just had to study this for this measure. When you promote boxing, you want to be sure that the fight is even, unless there is a concerted effort to give a fighter more points locally so that when he goes abroad, or so that he would be invited to fight abroad because he gets more points. And that's precisely why you want a regulator to be fair. You cannot have this regulator having that burden of promoting because he has to regulate. So there's a problem also there. But again, maybe we can address that later on in the period of amendment because I see that there is a problem here. In any case, Mr. President, my biggest concern is that these functions are performed by GAB. Alam nyo, kung saan ang hinihingi na pera is 5 million pesos, wala na siguro tayong pag-uusapan. Ang problema, ang hinihingi ng pera para sa Boxing Commission is even bigger or equal to the funding that the whole GAB that is allocated to GAB. It's more than the budget of GAB, and GAB is overseeing 20 sports. And I put on record, I will repeat, that even during the pandemic, they were able to include 3 new sports. Volleyball, ayan, wala sa isip ko, pero volleyball, may I just ask my staff to pull out the record, no? Pero, ayun, volleyball, triathlon, and there's a third sport na dagdag na yan, even during the pandemic. So, I cannot understand, and it will really be a burden on the body to have to decide now, why will we create a new body for just boxing and combat sports and give them a budget bigger than GAB that is overseeing the 20 sports without being able to pinpoint kung saan nagkulang ang GAB. Ngayon, when His Honor says na may ibang function pa yan, well then perhaps the solution is for now, it could be a dream we can have later on and entertain.
Mr.
Perhaps
President.
the solution might be to amend the GAB law and to increase their powers. Like if we want to allow them to have an initial what do you call it, welfare fund, then that may be the solution for
President.
now.
Mr. President, sorry to interrupt, Mr. President. I just want to answer first because mamaya mahaba na yung makalimutan ko na iba. Mr. President, it doesn't say here how much exactly the budget of this commission, Mr. President. At the concern of my colleague from Taguig is the budget 150 approximately, Mr. President. It's much higher than the GAB budget. Like I said, Mr. President, wala naman naka-state dito, nakalagay dito na 150. Pwede namang mababa pa sa GAB eh. Kung magkano yung sa GAB, pwedeng kung 100 million yung sa GAB, wala nang problema kung sabihin sa yung commission 70 million lang o 60 million lang, 50 million lang. No problem with that, Mr. President. Ang sabi ko lang approximately lang.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. President. But His Honor mentioned offices in Visayas and Mindanao. Mr. President, GAB has regional offices. And at this time of the pandemic, again, na every peso counts, we need to be accountable to the Filipino people how we spend public funds.
Yung data mo, hindi nakakaya.
I cannot I cannot I cannot help but recall that in one of the bills that is very close to my heart, and Senator Risa and I are working very closely on it, we are trying to amend the adoption law because we don't even have enough people attending to the homeless, motherless, abandoned children on the streets. Hindi nga ma-process yung adoption nila. So hindi ko kaya with all due humility as a mother na pondohan ang isang sports office specific to one sport only. Tapos itong ibang offices na ilalagay ang mga batang nasa kalye at mahanapan sila ng bahay, hindi pa natin napopondohan din. And again, the other example I gave was the health expenses and the education expenses. So I rest my case on that point, Mr. President, because
Thank you, Mr. President.
unless we can pinpoint that GAB is unable to perform its function, then we should not be entertaining a bill that is creating a similar agency that will duplicate functions. Even if we say the goal is to add certain functions, then with all due respect, I would like and I would love to, and I am offering my services to His Honor, to work with him, at least for the time being during this pandemic, to be responsible during the time of this pandemic, to create a fund within GAB and for the amateurs, which I think is the primary concern of His Honor. I think I hope His Honor would be willing to consider that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, unang-una, this bill is already approved in the last Congress, 17th Congress. Hindi ito new, Mr. President, hindi ito tiniming sa dahil sa pandemya, ganyan. Existing na po ito, na-approve na po ito nung 17th Congress po, nabalik dito kasi hindi pa na-approve sa lower house. At pangalawa po, kung budget ang pag-uusapan natin, alam mo naman natin siguro kung ang budget diyan, kung pwede nating siyempre alam natin kung paano maglaan ng budget dito. Hindi naman ito, it can be less than 100 or less than the budget of the GAB. Yun po ang point dito. Pero and also to clarify po, kasi I thought from the beginning of the interpolation of this measure, I thought it's the good lady from Taguig. It's already, he will ask question for a clarificatory question. But I think this is not my understanding right now, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding right now is this is not a clarificatory question, this is a opposing the bill. So that's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, thank you for His Honor's clarificatory question. If my interrogation or interpellation is clarificatory or ano yung sinabi niya, opposing. If His Honor will recall from the start, I always would begin by please educate me. I have always been collaborative, and again, I'm very proud to have worked with amazing mentors who trained me. Again, I will mention our minority floor leader, Senator DRILLON. Maiiyak ako because some of my mentors have passed away, Senator Flavier, Senator Joker Arroyo, Senator Nene Pimentel, Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, and Senator Angara. And what I've learned from them is that no matter how beautiful our concept and idea is, there is collective wisdom. We have so much to gain when we work together. And my seatmate here, who has moved farther than me, I don't know kung nilalayuan niya ako, si Senator Gatchalian, is witness to the fact, if you listen to his amendments, I think 75% of the amendments that he read on the floor were mine. Hindi sa magaling ho ako, but it's because I've also had experience working in that field. And so, it is not true that I simply want to oppose. I have started always by saying, please educate me. Please enlighten me. So definitely ho, clarificatory yun. Ngayon, kung hindi nyo nasasagot ang tanong ko, then that is the time I will conclude and that is the time you will hear me say, well, with all due respect, I disagree. With all due respect, ito naman ang opinion ko. I hope you would consider it because hindi nyo nasagot yung tanong ko. So going back to the questions on the powers of God, bakit ho natin hindi ma-amend yun? I do not understand why His Honor is not amenable to amending the powers of GAB so that they can be more responsive to the needs that he sees has to be addressed. It is irresponsible for us to put in fundings for a new agency when we cannot even say that this other agency is not performing their job well. We did not even give them that mandate.
Mr. President,
So that is
may I
the proper
interrupt?
way to go. And if I may just finish before I give the floor back to His Honor, His Honor said that he has been answering this question since the 17th Congress. Let me point out two very important facts. I was not a member of the Senate in the 17th Congress. And yes, I have stood up so many times defending a bill and answer repeatedly questions that my colleagues ask because they want to understand it from their perspective. Kahit na 10 beses ko na sinagot yon sa ibang kasamahan natin. I tried to make it easier by studying the interpellation in the 17th Congress para maintindihan ko din kung anong napag-usapan doon. And I will pinpoint, my dear sponsor, that there are certain provisions that are new in this version that you filed in the 18th Congress that were not present in the version in the 17th Congress. So you cannot say, His Honor cannot tell us that it is the same and basahin ko na lang yung dati, iba ng bill to eh. Kahit basahin ko yung dati, may mga bagong provision to. On the creation, the commission is directly under the administrative supervision of the Office of the President in this 18th Congress. Yung bill niya said has a different kind of wording under the 17th Congress. The composition of the members are different. There are exemptions from taxes and fees in the 17th in the 18th Congress that are not present in the 17th Congress. There are compensations of professional boxing and combat sports that are present in the 18th Congress that are not present in the 17th Congress. I can go on and on about the difference, but please understand that I studied this measure. So, kaya ko lang naman tinatanong dahil may pinagkaiba naman po yung 17 and 18.
I understand, Mr. President. Thank you. Mr. President, you said that the clarificatory question that you asked, I did not answer. May I ask, may I know, Mr. President, what question that I did not answer? What question you raised that I did not answer?
Why not?
I just want to clarify, Mr. President, because I want to answer
I'm happy.
as possible all questions.
Yes.
But one by one lang kasi when you ask questions, talagang parang 10, Mr. President. So, isa-isa lang muna. Wag yung combination mo na suntok. Pa-jab-jab lang muna. May I ask
Sanay din po tayo sa combination punches. Nanonood din tayo ng laro niya. Joke lang, joke lang.
May I ask what question that I did not answer, Mr. President? Just to clarify.
Yes, Mr. President, straight to the point, yung why is His Honor creating a new commission when instead without exploring, or let me phrase it a different way, would His Honor be open to exploring, at least for the time being, at least during the time of this pandemic, the option of amending the powers of GAB to address some concerns that he has mentioned, and specifically is the welfare of the boxers that he said hindi naaasikaso.
Okay, Mr. President.
Why not amend
Sir.
GAB instead of creating a 100 million agency?
Okay, Mr. President. Kasi pag mahaba na, makalimutan hindi ko naman. Pasagutin ko lang isa-isa, Mr. President. Okay. This, I will say it again. This bill was proposed before pandemic pa, Mr. President. Now, hindi ito itiniming sa pandemic. Kumbaga, approved na ito nung last Congress. Wala po kayo dito nung last Congress, Mr. President. At pangalawa, Mr. President, just to answer all your question para walang masabi na hindi ko sinagot yung question mo, Mr. President. At pangalawa, the function of GAB is different function from this PBC is si Mr. President, magkakaiba po. Like I said, in-explain ko na ano yung function. GAB is only regulatory board, regulatory and supervise giving license. But the function of the commission that I propose this measure is to look and help the welfare of athletes hanggang sa pagretiro nila. Yun po ang function nito, kaya magkakaiba po talaga. Especially giving SSS, PhilHealth, parang pension sa kanila. Ito po yung magiging function ng commission na ito. So magkakaiba po talaga, hindi po magkapareho. Kasi ang GAB magbigay lang ng license, medical, mag-regulate lang, supervise, and then tapa na. Pagka-retiro, wala na silang pakialam. Which is, I already witnessed that for the past 25 years in my career, na ang dami kong mga kasama na wala. Inutil lang doon sa inutil, naghihingi ng tulong, naglilimos na lang. Wala nang which is kung nandito itong commission na ito, hindi mapapabayaan kasi nakakahiya eh. Nagdala sila, nagwagayway sila ng bansa natin, flag natin sa ibang bansa, nagbigay sila ng honor sa bansa natin tapos napabayaan natin, nandyan sa kalye, natutulog, nanghingi ng pera, nanghingi ng pagkain. Pangit naman yon na nagbigay ng pangalan sa ating bansa tapos nakikita natin yung tao na nagbigay ng pangalan sa ating bansa, napabayaan natin. The mission of this commission is to look their welfare, Mr. President. Naalagaan sila na hanggang sa pagtanda nila, pag-retire nila, mayroon nang nagtututok na commission. And I hope that the good leader from Taguig will understand of my explanation. Hindi ko nasagot yung mga tanong mo. I will answer all those questions in terms of backing this mission, Mr. President. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for that explanation, but I do not understand the response that this bill was prepared before the pandemic. So what does that mean? What does that mean? What is the effect of that?
Sorry, Mr. President. Ang ibig sabihin, Mr. President, hindi po ito na tiniming sa pandemya. Kumbaga po, existing na itong bill na ito, approved na po ito bago pa po nagpandemya. Yun po ang pinaka-point doon sa statement ko po, sa answer ko.
Yes, Mr. President, but we are living in the now, and we must be responsible and responsive to what our situation is now. So in the bill that we passed, the CREATE bill that we passed, yung inabot ng pandemic, before the pandemic, that was sitira. And the reduction of the corporate income tax was 1% per year. But because of the pandemic, we changed the bill. We changed the bill because we needed an immediate response to help the people and to help businesses. So we immediately decreased the income tax, the corporate income tax by 5% instead of 1% per year. So it is our duty as lawmakers to be the one to adjust. If we will make give the reason that dati pa to, wala pang pandemic noon, then we are not being responsive to the needs of our people. If there is a natural calamity, we pull out funding and we put it in that area that needs assistance for the calamity. Natural ho yun. So the reason I bring this up is because the timing to support the creation of offices. Hindi ito pondo, the funding that His Honor is asking for will not even go directly to the athletes. This is for the creation of offices. And when I say His Honor does not answer the question, I do not understand why there has to be a new office when GAB has regional offices. And hindi po nyo naipaliwanag kung ano yung hindi nagagawa ng GAB na dapat nilang gawin. Now, if it is not in their mandate, then why not amend it? That is the easiest thing to do to save money. That is what I'm saying. Is His Honor amenable to that? Let us amend it. Let us do their job. Bantayan nyo ng 1 taon, 2 taon. Kung hindi nila nagawa, mauna akong mag-support sa inyo. Kasi syempre gusto ko na alagaan yung athletes natin.
Mr. President,
Yun.
may I interrupt through Mr. President? To interrupt. Mr. President, we can open the budget requirements for this bill, Mr. President. pwedeng bigyan ng 500,000, 200,000. I'm sure siguro pwede na siguro yan kung yan ang 1 million, okay lang 2 million, wala pong problema diyan. Wala po akong problema diyan as long as na-establish itong Philippine boxing, no problem with the concern. The main concern of the good lady from Taguig is the budget. I have no question with that. Pwedeng 200,000, pwedeng 500,000. I'm sure siguro maintindihan na po yan ng ating mahal na kasama from Taguig. At,
Baka po pwede mag-submit ang ating sponsor ng budget proposal for this kasi kung 200,000 lang yan,
No.
I'm sure between myself and his honor, pwede na tayong mag-donate yan para private fund na lang itong boxing. I will come up with the 100, sa inyo na yung 100. Huwag na natin gawing public kasi like I said, these are boxing commissions are private in many countries. Because I do not know how you will come up with your offices of Luzon, Visayas,
Yeah.
Mindanao, which you put on record with 200,000. So baka ipasa natin yan, tapos sabihin ng mga tao, o nasa na yung nasa na yung pinangako nyo na may mga opisina, binanggit nyo yan. Nasa na yung welfare fund, 200,000 lang yan. So ako naman po, in the same way that we scrutinize the budget that we are available to provide for health, that's also what I'm doing, Mr. President, because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver dahil mahal ko din ang athletes katulad ninyo.
sige po, sorry to interrupt po, Mr. President. Ito po para matapos na. I-open lang po natin. Bahala na po yung DBM. Kung 100,000 ibigay, 200,000, 500,000.
Hindi lalagyan ng
Hindi na lalagyan ng ano doon, ng budget requirements. Ngayon, ay pinasa tapos binigyan na ng budget ng 100,000 ng DBM, kung pag-start ng Philippine Boxing, sa abot ng aking makakaya, kahit sarili kong pera, pwede kong mag-establish, magtayo para matulungan ko lang yung Philippine Boxing. Gastusin ko yung pera ko, magtayo ako sa Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao para magkaroon ng opisina ang ating Philippine Boxing Commission. Yan po, Mr. President, to shorten the discussion about the budget. I think it's not gonna be a problem anymore. The budget, it's prerogative of the DBM to put up a budget. Kung DBM magbigay ng 100,000, and then so be it. I can help the commission to establish a office ni Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Thank you, Mr. President.
Maganda ho yung idea na binring up nyo on private funding, Mr. President. And like I said, sasamahan ko po kayo, mangolekta ho tayo dito sa mga kaibigan namin. Pare-pareho nyo namang fans yan. Nakatingin ho si Sherwin. Masama na tingin sa akin dahil sisingilin po natin ng donation yan. I think this is the best direction. Kasi po, sa pagkaalam ko sa DBM, unfunded laws are not favored. Hindi ho mangyayari na bibigyan lang kayo ng 100 or 200,000 ng DBM because they will study the measure and they will give you an amount if they can afford it that is commensurate to the objectives and the mandate of the law. And that is why, Mr. President, I will put on record that DBM in their letter dated March 17, 2021, recommended that the bills should be studied further and to ensure that the functions of the Philippine Boxing Commission will not duplicate and overlap with GAB and PSC. Right now, it is a duplication. Ang mangyayari kasi, you will create offices that will basically be performing maybe 50 to 75 to 90% of the same job that GAB is performing for the other professional athletes. That's why sabi niya, be sure na there is no duplication. Meron mo talagang duplication because His Honor the Boxing Commission will also be regulating. Is that not correct? Meron din regulatory functions ang Boxing Commission na ini-envision ninyo?
Mr. President, to answer that question, Mr. President, yung bill na ito, Mr. President, yung 2077, Mr. President, ay based on the ito, Mr. President, sa sulat ng DBM, sinunod lang natin yung sulat ng DBM, almost dito sa sulat ng DBM, at saka in-insert po natin yung section 11 ng suggestion ng DBM. In-insert po natin yung section 11 na galing po sa DBM. Thank you po, Mr. President. Yun po, kahit magbigay ang DBM ng 100,000, ako tutulungan ko mag-put up ng offices yung Philippine Boxing. Basta kaya ko, sa bulsa ko.
If I'm not
Kaya nandiyan
mistaken,
naman si Senator Swing Gatchalan, tutulong
If I'm
naman yan,
not
saka si
mistake- if
brother
I'm not
brother ko
mistaken,
yan.
if I'm not mistaken, this is the same issue that we took up during the health bills, that this insertion of DBM, the provision that says subject to the approval of DBM, is basically relinquishing our power to DBM. This is something that the Senate, no less than the Senate President and the minority floor leader, correct me if I'm wrong, sirs, brought up yesterday. So, ayaw natin yung proposal ng DBM kasi nagpasa pa tayo, sila lang pala. So, I don't know if any of his honors want to add to that discussion, but that's what I recall, no? As a body, I think we frown upon that provision. And I just put on the record the minority floor leader is nodding his head. So on that note, again, I repeat that the letter of DBM said that to study the bill further and to take note of the duplication of efforts. And that is why I am taking time on this bill, because I will devote so much of my time and energy for the athletes, as his honor is also. That's why I admire his honor so much for his passion in fighting for this group of athletes. But I go back and I reiterate my concerns, and his honor was asking what else did he not answer. To my satisfaction, he was not able to answer that there is no violation of the Constitution in terms of equal protection of the laws, because the classification has to be valid, and because what we seek to classify are athletes that are injured, it is my humble position that the data shows us that there are many other sports that athletes are involved in that also create injuries, that if we want as a state to be responsible for that, then we should also cover them. I have not seen any explanation that satisfies my in all humility, my legal mind on that constitutional issue, Mr. President. And I just want to include for the record that one of the combat sports, Muay Thai Association of the Philippines, is against the creation of the Boxing Commission, with the main reason that it is already it would be a duplication of the function of GAB. So, Mr. President, unless His Honor would like to add anything, I am ready to close my interpellation. I will simply repeat, just like His Honor has said that I have said, I will repeat my love and concern for the boxers of the Philippines, but not just professionals, but also amateurs and all the athletes of the Philippines. And my desire that as a member of the Senate, my request is that we all exercise our power to vote responsibly, because 150 million pesos or 100 million or even 50 million will go a long way in addressing various pre and pandemic needs that we have. I have already illustrated what health needs are unmet, what education needs. I did not give the figures, but I can provide that to anyone who needs that are unmet. My colleagues, you know all about it. The creation of a new office is an unnecessary expense at this time, but I would like to honor his honor's desire to help the athletes whose sport he also loves by, number one, supporting his private fund, and I will ensure that these people on the floor contribute. I will ensure all of them contribute, especially the majority floor leader who's not listening. He will contribute double the amount, Mr. President, to the private fund that we will put up for the boxers. And since he's still not listening, times 3 na po ang kanyang contribution. Malapit na siyang ma-strike out, Mr. President. Yeah, to end, I support that move for a privately funded commission. I regret that we cannot pass a bill without clear direction on the funding, because it would end up to be an unfunded bill, because DBM itself is not clear on the functions of this agency. But if we can start by amending GAB, and if to the extent necessary to also include funding for amateurs, perhaps one of our laws for amateur athletes involving the PSC, we are happy to initiate that, do the work with His Honor, and that can be a start. And then during the break, I offer my services. This representation humbly offers her services to see what else can be done. And then after the pandemic, maybe that's the time that we can revisit, because for the time being, GAB is doing its job. I have not heard on record that they have not been able to perform the duties assigned to them by law. And I have now the complete list. During the pandemic, they now registered 4 new sports: volleyball, chess, jet ski, and triathlon. So I think it is a disservice to the Filipino people that we will pull out funds for the creation of a new agency when we already have an existing agency that is doing its job well. I am ready to end my interpellation. I thank the good sponsor for his patience in indulging me with all my questions, enlightening me, and I hope that we can work together just as we have all worked together with previous bills in finding solutions. So thank you very much for that. On that note, I repeat, the commitment of the majority floor leader is ×3. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey,
Please practice social distancing.
hey. After 12 rounds of sing. Go to the scorecard. Okay. We'd like to acknowledge Senator Ralph Recto. Senator Recto is on board. enjoying the debate. And Senator Bato also. And our colleagues.
Majority Leader, it's
Yes,
past 9
President.
o'clock.
We move to close the period of interpellation, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, period of interpellation is closed. Motion to adjourn.
Rounds. Mr. President, Mr. President,
Minority
I
Leader.
didn't hear you. What time is it, Mr. President?
9:02.
9:02.
9:02. Very good, Mr. President.
We were
for the
here
next
for
time.
the commission on appointments, and the employees were here for the commission on appointments this morning.
Yes. And also the So what time is it, Mr. President? The majority leader has not heard you.
It's 9:03.
9:03. I just like to put on record, Senator Gordon is still not at home. He's still in the office. I can see the
I
Red
just want
Cross
to make
office
a
there.
record that I
Still
went to the
working
fire. We had a fire right behind the Red Cross building.
That's right. There was a fire.
Where?
Fire.
Where?
Yeah, the port area, Manila. And I
Sabi
wanted
ng DPWH. Baka
Yes.
nasunog na rin ng DPWH.
my formal centers, a big fire, and we had to protect the building. We had to protect the people there. We're still distributing. Grabe.
But
Terrible.
for the record, Mr. President, it is 9:03. Those who are online is, of course, Senate Minority Floor Leader Frank DRILLON, Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, Senator Cynthia Villar, Senator Coco Pimentel, Senator Richard Gordon, Senator Ralph Recto, Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson, Senator Bong Revilla, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator Sani Angara, bagong ligo lang po kasi basa pa yung book, of course. And those who are in the plenary is the Senate President, Senator Manny Pacquiao, Senator Pia Cayetano, who just ended their 12 rounds of debates, Senator Joel Villanueva, and Senator Sherwin Gatchalian.
Mr. President,
So,
this is
working
Grace.
very hard, Mr. President.
Majority Leader, this is Grace. I'm also online.
Ay, yes,
Hindi na ako
Senator
Senator
nagpakita
Grace po
kasi-
is still there.
No
Yes.
picture, but no. Senator Lacson is recognized.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm still in the Senate premises. I'm in my office.
Yes, Senator
enjoyed
Lacson is in
watching
his
the
office.
Longest round of the main event.
It's more than 3 minutes, huh? Yeah,
Thank you,
Senator Lacson
Senator.
is here in the Senate, but
And
he did-
Senator Binay
he's
is
in his
also
office.
online, Mr. President. Senator Binay,
Yeah.
although she has a date with the husband Pepito in the roof deck of her house, looking at the blood moon. With that, Mr. President, I move that we adjourn. We will adjourn, Mr. President, because tomorrow we need to vote on third reading of certain measures that we passed last Thursday.
All right, so move to suspend consideration.
I move first to suspend consideration of the measures.
All right, consideration of the measure suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Move to adjourn.
And I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, Thursday, May 27, 2021. Bye-bye, everybody.
Any objection? Hearing none. Session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of
Mga
Thursday, May
taga-Cavite.
27, 2021.
Congrats.